Cassian stepped out of the transport vessel, his boots sinking into the moss-covered ground of Veridian Prime. The air was thick with humidity and the scent of ancient forests. Towering trees with silver bark reached toward a sky that glowed with shades of amber and violet. He had come here as a xenobiology researcher, but nothing in his training had prepared him for the sheer beauty and mystery of this world. His mission was straightforward, or so he thought. The Interstellar Research Council had sent him to study the planet's ecosystem and assess its viability for future colonization. What they did not know was that Cassian carried a secret passion, one that had driven him across the galaxy. He was searching for dragons. Real dragons, not the mythical creatures from Earth folklore, but actual living beings that older explorers had reported centuries ago. As he walked through the dense undergrowth, strange bioluminescent plants lit his way with soft blue light. He heard sounds he could not identify, chirps that seemed almost musical and distant roars that made his heart race. Then he saw her. She stood on a crystalline outcropping overlooking a ravine silhouetted against the golden sky. Her skin shimmered with an iridescent quality, shifting between silver and deep blue as she moved. She had elegant features with large, luminous eyes, and her hair flowed like liquid starlight down her shoulders. She was clearly not human, but she was undeniably beautiful. Violet watched him approach with calm curiosity. She was an ambassador from the native Veridian people, tasked with monitoring the constant stream of visitors to their world. Her species, the alien, had evolved alongside the dragons for millennia, and she took her responsibility as their protector seriously. "You are the human researcher," she said, her voice carrying harmonic undertones that seemed to resonate with the forest itself. "I am Violet, keeper of the sacred forests. You will not find what you are looking for if you wander carelessly. The dragons do not show themselves to those without respect for this land." Cassian's heart quickened. Violet had mentioned dragons directly, as if they were common knowledge. "You know about the dragons? The report said they were extinct." "Your kind says many things that are not true," Violet replied with a slight smile. "The dragons are not extinct. They are hiding, protected by those of us who understand their value. Come, I will show you something that might change how you see this world." She led him through winding paths that seemed to shift and rearrange themselves. The deeper they went into the forest, the more magnificent it became. Flowers the size of small houses bloomed in impossible colors. Waterfalls cascaded from floating islands suspended by some invisible force, and then they arrived at a hidden clearing. There, resting on a bed of luminescent stones, was a dragon. Its scales were a deep emerald green, shot through with veins of gold that seemed to pulse with living light. The dragon was smaller than Cassian had expected, perhaps the size of a large horse, but its presence was immense. Its eyes opened slowly and fixed on Cassian with an intelligence that matched any sentient being he had ever encountered. "Her name is Ember," Violet explained softly. "She is young, only 40 years old. Her kind lived for centuries. This is her sanctuary, one of the last places where dragons can exist in peace." Cassian found himself frozen, unable to move or speak. Everything he had studied, every theory he had developed, suddenly felt trivial compared to the reality before him. Ember rose gracefully and approached him, her movements fluid and deliberate. She lowered her massive head toward his face, and Cassian could feel warm breath carrying the scent of cinnamon and rain. Instead of fear, Cassian felt only wonder and connection. It was as though something ancient within his human DNA recognized something ancient within Ember's dragon nature. They were meeting across a bridge of time and evolution. "She accepts you," Violet said with surprise in her voice. "The dragons are usually cautious with humans. Your species has not treated them well in your histories, but Ember senses something different in you." Over the next hours, Cassian spent time with Ember, and something extraordinary happened. He began to understand the dragon's language, a combination of low vocalizations and subtle body movements. Ember showed him the forest through her eyes, sharing emotions and memories that were far older than human civilization. He learned that dragons were not mindless beasts but deeply spiritual beings connected to the very fabric of the planet itself. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of crimson and deep purple, Violet stood beside him watching Ember settle into sleep. "There is danger coming," Violet said quietly. "A corporation from the outer systems has discovered the truth about the dragons. They want to capture them, study them, sell them to the highest bidder. We have only weeks before their ships arrive. The dragons cannot fight machines and weapons. They need help. They need someone who understands both worlds. Cassian looked at Violet, seeing not just her alien beauty but her dedication and heart. He felt something stir within him, a pull toward a greater purpose. "I will help," he said. "I did not come across the galaxy just to observe. I came to protect what is precious. I will not let them harm Ember or her kind." Violet's hand found his, and for a moment, two very different beings connected through shared purpose and emotion. The dragons were not the only magic on Veridian Prime. There was also the magic of two souls finding each other against impossible odds. As night fell completely, the forest filled with the calls of dragons in the distance, a haunting and beautiful symphony that seemed to echo the beginning of something extraordinary. The underground chamber was vast, carved from crystal that sparkled with internal light. Cassian stood in awe as he realized the scope of what Violet had been protecting. Hundreds of dragons nested in the crystalline caverns, ranging in size, from creatures no larger than songbirds to magnificent beasts that rivaled ancient titans. This was the last sanctuary of the dragon species, hidden beneath the surface of Veridian Prime for generations. Violet guided him deeper into the sanctum, where the oldest and most powerful dragons rested. She explained that each dragon held within itself genetic memory spanning thousands of years. They carried knowledge of extinct civilizations, star systems long forgotten, and wisdom about the balance between predator and prey, technology and nature. It was here that they met Rowan, a human archaeologist who had come to Veridian Prime 5 years ago and never left. His weathered face and kind eyes spoke of someone who had found his true calling. He was accompanied by Selene, a Veridian warrior whose muscular frame and scarred armor told stories of countless battles fought in defense of her world. "We have been waiting for you," Rowan said to Cassian, clasping his shoulder firmly. Violet mentioned that a newcomer had connected with Ember. "That is rare and significant. The dragons do not bond lightly." Selene studied Cassian with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Can he be trusted?" she asked Violet directly. "Humans have betrayed us before. Your feelings do not cloud your judgment, I hope." "Cassian is different," Violet responded, and Cassian noticed the warmth in her voice when she said his name. "He came here with respect for our world, not greed. The dragons know this truth in their hearts." Rowan outlined the threat they faced. A mega-corporation called Helix Industries had satellite imagery showing the crystal formations and unusual thermal signatures of the dragon sanctuaries. They would arrive within 2 weeks with military-grade excavation equipment and capture teams. The plan was to extract the dragons, transport them off-world, and weaponize their biological properties for military applications. "They see dragons as resources to exploit," Rowan explained grimly. "But if you understand dragons, you know they are not resources. They are sentient beings, individuals with personalities and emotions. To capture them would be genocide." Cassian felt anger rising within him at the injustice of it. "What can we do? We cannot fight an interstellar corporation." "We can be smart," Selene said, her voice carrying the tone of a seasoned warrior. "We know this land. They do not. We have the dragons who can move through terrain that their machines cannot traverse. But we need a strategy, and we need it now." Over the next several days, an unlikely alliance formed. Cassian used his scientific knowledge to devise a plan to sabotage Helix's technology. Rowan contributed archaeological knowledge about ancient Veridian defense systems that might still be functional. Selene coordinated with her warriors to prepare for conflict, and Violet worked with the dragons, preparing them mentally and physically for what was to come. In stolen moments away from planning, Cassian and Violet found themselves drawn to each other. They would walk through the forest at twilight, and Violet would teach him about her culture, her beliefs, her dreams for a future where humans and aliens could coexist peacefully. Cassian shared stories of Earth, of how humanity had learned hard lessons about protecting endangered species, and how those lessons could be applied here. One evening, they stood beneath a cascade of bioluminescent flowers. Violet's hand rested in Cassian's as they watched Ember and her companion dragon, a larger male named Skyfire, dance through the air in courtship displays that were beautiful beyond description. "What happens after this is over?" Violet asked softly. "If we survive, if we drive them away?" Cassian turned to face her, seeing his own hopes and fears reflected in her luminous eyes. I do not want to go back to how things were before I met you. I have felt lost my entire life searching for something I could not name. Then I came to Veridian Prime, met you, and touched Ember's mind. I realized I was searching for connection, for purpose, for love. Violet's eyes glistened with emotion. In my culture, we do not often bond with humans. But you are not simply human, Cassian. You are a bridge between worlds. The dragons see it. I see it. And I feel it in my heart. They embraced as the forest sang around them, and for a moment, all danger and uncertainty faded away. The sky above Veridian Prime erupted in light as Helix Industries warships descended through the atmosphere. Cassian watched from the crystalline heights as massive landing craft touched down in the cleared zones outside the protected forests. He could see the heavily armed soldiers deploying, the excavation equipment spreading across the landscape like a plague of metal locusts. The time for planning had ended. The time for action had arrived. Violet stood beside him, her form calm but radiating focused intensity. Behind them, Rowan and Selene coordinated with the dragon riders who would serve as the first line of defense. The dragons had agreed to protect their sanctuary at all costs, understanding the finality of capture. Send the signal, Violet commanded. Cassian activated the device he had designed, a combination of human technology and Veridian crystal resonance that would disrupt Helix's communication systems and navigation equipment. Across the planet, similar devices hummed to life, creating a technological maze that would blind and confuse the invaders. Simultaneously, the dragons took flight. Hundreds of them rose from the sanctuary in a coordinated surge that painted the sky with emerald scales and golden light. They moved not to attack but to demonstrate their true numbers and power. The sight of so many dragons descending at once sent shockwaves through the Helix forces. But the corporation had come prepared for resistance. The first salvos of energy weapons tore through the sky. Dragons shrieked in pain as one fell, struck by a beam of concentrated plasma. Cassian's heart clenched as he watched, but Violet gripped his arm firmly. They will not surrender, she said with the voice of one who had accepted difficult truths. Neither will we. Send the warriors forward. What followed was a battle unlike any that had ever been recorded on Veridian Prime. Dragons and Veridian warriors moved with perfect coordination, using the terrain to their advantage. Cassian's sabotage had worked partially, forcing Helix to operate with reduced capabilities. Rowan coordinated defensive positions using ancient Veridian fortifications that had been dormant for centuries. In the midst of the chaos, Cassian and Violet fought side by side. They made a formidable team, her warrior instincts complementing his tactical knowledge. When a group of Helix soldiers attempted to breach the inner sanctum, they stood together at the gate, refusing to yield. Ember appeared above them, her form magnificent and terrible in her power. She released a stream of superheated plasma that forced the soldiers to retreat. Other dragons joined her, creating a wall of fire that was both a defense and a message. This world belongs to those who protect it, not those who seek to conquer it. The turning point came when Rowan managed to activate an ancient planetary defense system. Energy barriers rose across the landscape, trapping Helix's equipment and forcing their retreat to their ships. At the same time, Selene led a coordinated assault on their command center, capturing crucial data that revealed other corporate plans to exploit worlds across the galaxy. Faced with mounting losses and the revelation of their broader crimes, Helix Industries made the strategic decision to withdraw. Their ships lifted into the atmosphere, damaged but mobile, carrying with them the humiliation of defeat at the hands of an alien alliance and dragons. As the ships disappeared into space, a cheer erupted from the gathered Veridian warriors and human allies. Dragons cried out in victory, their calls echoing across the valleys and mountains. That night, Cassian stood with Violet overlooking the recovering landscape. Ember rested her head against Cassian's chest, and he could feel the ancient dragon's contentment and gratitude flowing through their connection. "What will you do now?" Violet asked, her hand finding his. "I'm going to stay," Cassian said without hesitation. "If you will have me. I am going to help rebuild what was damaged, work with the dragons, and build a future where humans and aliens stand together." A future where we understand that some things are worth protecting at any cost. Violet's luminous eyes reflected the starlight as she looked up at him. Then we will build that future together. You and I, your kind and mine, the dragons and all living things on this world. They sealed their bond as dragons circled overhead, their ancient voices singing a song of hope and renewal that would be remembered for generations to come. The universe had witnessed the beginning of something extraordinary, a true alliance between worlds, forged in love and defended by hearts united in purpose. Veridian Prime would never be conquered or enslaved. Its beauty would be preserved. Its dragons would thrive, and Cassian and Violet would stand together as symbols of what was possible when different worlds chose cooperation over conflict, understanding over fear, and love over greed.